Well, thank you so much for joining us for this webinar as we typically do. And if you already have a Colleague AI account, it's the time for you to log in, stay there. If you don't have a Colleague AI account, this will be the time for you to follow this instruction to register a free account. And just as a reminder, when you do the registration, please make sure to use your educational organization email address, which you will have a smooth sign up for a free account. And also, another reminder is a two-step sign-in. Once you register, Colleague AI will send you an activation email to your inbox, and then you activate from your inbox. So that will be the first tech setup. The second tech setup is for today's slide. You can use the tiny URL or scan the QR code. The benefit of getting the slide deck is you can use the slide deck to copy paste when we do the demo part. You can also use the slide deck to help yourself pace yourself through today's presentation as well. So with that, and you are doing the tech setup, let me introduce my co-presenter as well as myself today. And I am a faculty from University of Washington and also the co-founder of Colleague AI. Today with me, I have my colleague Haley and Tim. Do you mind if introduce yourself first, Haley, and then Tim?
Yep. My name's Haley Spawn. I am a middle school math teacher in Federal Way. I'm also an educational consultant for Colleague AI, helping develop the platform and give out these professional developments.
My name's Tim Chalberg. Similar to Haley, I'm a consultant for Colleague, and my full-time job is in Tacoma Public Schools, where I am the high school math instructional facilitator.
Thank you to both Haley and Tim. So for today's agenda, we will first sort of do a warm-up activity, and then as we always do for this kind of webinars, we really wanted to situate the introduction of AI tools and techniques within existing best practice and existing instructional framework. So we'll start with norming the concepts. We will discuss what is special education for today's topic, and what are the role of AI in special education, particularly in IEP, individualized education program writing process. And then we will introduce 3 AI techniques, prompt-based strategy. We will introduce AI-powered accessibility tools for educators and for students. We will, if we have time for this webinar, we will discuss about how do you use some specialized Colleague AI functions to generate content like lesson plans and rubrics and even slides for students with special education needs. And then we will close out to introduce more learning opportunities about Colleague AI towards the end. So with that, I'm going to pass the microphone to Haley.
Okay, so today's learning target, we're going to learn how to use Colleague AI to really use our time efficiently to assess and monitor student progress in concerns to IEPs. When you leave here, you're going to be able to create assessment tools and checklists in alignment with those IEPs, develop rubric and intervention strategies in order to support them, and understand the various accessibility functions to individuals with disabilities.
Tim.
And I will be talking us through. So we just wanted to norm the concepts. I think if you're watching this webinar, you probably have some notion in your context of what IEPs and special education is, but we at least wanted to be transparent and have a common understanding before we dug in. So that's what we're going to talk about real briefly right here. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So when we're talking about special education in this webinar, we're talking about instruction designed to meet the unique needs of students with disabilities. And then IEPs are individual education programs. Those are detailed plans outlining goals, services, accommodations, and supports for a student's learning. Again, if you're watching this webinar, I'm guessing a lot of you already have experience with IEPs, but in case you don't, there's an outline. So typically, with these, we need to have a baseline assessment and measures and methods for monitoring student progress, which are related to modified goals. We also need to develop accommodations, and then we also have to write the IEP. So again, there's a lot of really heavy time-consuming tasks, but the overarching goal is to meet every student where they are at. And so this is a particular subset of students that perhaps require more documentation and more individual planning to help make that happen. And so we're going to explore how AI can help with that. So as far as roles AI can play, we're looking at distilling insights from data. So again, AI can help with analyzing large sets of student performance and needs data to help educators refine strategies.
Mhm.
And in particular for special ed, with all that documenting, we can potentially have more data to process. Design measures for progress monitoring. So again, that's something every student needs, but we might have these modified goals and a little bit more frequent checking. So assisting educators with developing measures and approaches. The implementation of IEPs. So AI can adopt content, pace, and instruction based on individual learner profiles. So again, IEPs will tell us what we need to do, but doesn't necessarily have all the info of what's the context of the class, how many folks do we have, is it after lunch, I mean, the other things that might matter, and that AI can help with that. Recommend early intervention. So AI can help with these predictive analytics that can flag potential learning issues early, enabling proactive support instead of trying to catch up. And accessibility. So we have speech to text, text to speech, language translation tools. These all remove barriers for learners with a variety of needs. So maybe we're not using every one of those all the time, but in some cases, they might be particularly helpful.
Okay, for this warm-up task, go ahead and pause the video if you need to. You're going to write down an IEP goal that you'd like to focus on for this session. If you don't have one in front of you, there's a sentence frame. Or if you just want to grab the example, you are more than welcome to do that as well. Throughout this professional development, we're going to go over 5 key things. We're going to go over assessment questions, how to create a checklist for progress monitoring, creating a template that will save you a lot of time for data collection, a couple strategies on how to create rubrics, and then also creating intervention specific strategies. From there, the first thing, assessment questions. You're going to see this pattern over and over again. They are color coded so that you can see what you need to fill out. You're going to create and then always give it a number of things that you want. So for this example, 20 questions, and you're going to align it with, and you're going to copy and paste whatever goal you're working on. And you want to describe the difficulty of each problem. And for this example, in this math example, I wanted to specify that the problems were one step and needing regrouping. And then any specifics or time constraints, like I want this to be solved within 5 minutes. And bonus tip, always ask for an answer key. Min's going to show us a little demo of what that would look like. And so as this is generating, you can do this with your own if you would like to, or just copy and paste ours. As you can see, it's giving out a printout, and you can download this message and print it straight from there so that the child has something to work on. It also gives you the answer key and any notes for the teacher, specifically the regrouping aspect that I asked for. Now, as you can see, it downloads the message right away. You can edit this, copy, paste, change the answer key to a different page, anything that suits your needs. For the next strategy, we're going to go on to progress monitoring checklist. This one's really done for you. All you have to do is copy and paste the goal. But we're wanting a checklist, and oftentimes we're looking and taking anecdotal notes, and we need something that's going to do it very quickly for us, or an easy way that we can read our notes afterwards. We're going to ask for a checklist so we can just check things very quickly of observable skills while we are progress monitoring. So again, you can do this with our example or your own needs, and just copy and paste it into that chat feature. From there, again, if you press the little down arrow, it's going to download the message. You need to wait until the message has completely populated. So for example, all of these specific skills, you can check and monitor where the student is at. So that way you don't have to write down, oh, the student is performing with fact fluency. I can just check the box and it is going to save me a lot of time. And for the next one is a data collection template. This is kind of along the same line where we want to be there for our students and present with our students, and we need tools to do so. So for this one, we're again using that 20 double digit regrouping strategy, and we want to make sure that it's a template we can easily use. We can print off like 20 copies or whatever we need to use it every day, and that makes progress monitoring so much easier in order to compare the data. So from there, again, I'm going to hit this home every single time. If you press the little down button, once the message has fully populated, you can download the message, and then that makes it editable and printable and all the things. So if you want to scroll up just a little bit, Mint, we can start from the top of there. So again, if you're printing out student name, and it also have assessment dates, so you can track it on one piece of paper if you're filing. My favorite part of these is that it gives you a key so that you don't have to scribble or figure out what you're writing. You can just write an R for regrouping error every time you see it, instead of having to take more time to write everything out. And again, lots of metrics to track, and this is going to help meet the needs of our students better by fully understanding where they're at and how we can support them. Perfect. Yep, and just print that puppy out. Pretty easy. And then rubrics for assessment. Again, this one's pretty much done for you. You're just asking for it to create a rubric, and this is one way using the brainstorm chat feature. And if we have time, we'll show you a second way. And we're just breaking down the performance into levels. You could do this with Marzano, however scale you want, and then describe the criteria. And this will help you quickly assess, because we just want to make our workloads manageable so we can be the best teachers for our students.
And here, if you see me now starting with a new chat, the reason is because when the chat become really long, and then our AI tool will use all the previous response, all previous prompts, go back to the model to generate a new response for you. If you really don't want like the conversation got mixed up, so it will be a good practice to start a new chat once every time when you start with a new topic.
And so there, like I said, this is one way to create a rubric. There are multiple ways through Colleague to do this. It just whatever suits your needs. In this, for example, I might want to ask it to create a table next time, or just thinking of how I can interact with it, or how I would like to better suit my needs. For example, if I want it to be a quick encircling thing, I could ask for that. But anything I need, I just have to ask for within that prompt.
And maybe we can do one right now, which is the above content into a table. We'll see what the AI do for us.
Beautiful. And so that's also a learning moment for me, where next time I want a rubric, I prefer it visually in a table. So I'm going to put that in my prompt to make sure that the output matches what I want. And last but not least, intervention strategies. So actually servicing the students and making sure that we are helping them grow. Sometimes we get stuck and we need help with intervention strategies. And you're going to ask for any specific challenges you might see to specifically meet the need of that specific student. So there we go. And you can always click show chain of thought to kind of see how it came up with that answer. And it's going to give you a little bit of metacognition of how the response was created. So from there, here are a couple strategies that we can use. There are some mental math techniques we can do. If we try that out, it doesn't work. There are other things we could include, like progressive time strategies, fluency building activities. And this is all about giving you options so that you can be empowered to meet the needs of your student, whatever that need may be, and whatever strategy works for them, because each student is different.
While this isn't really the spot to highlight it, I'll also say
Mhm.
this is a spot where, like that chat right there, let's say I like those and I want more detail. I could just save just that chat as a document inside a colleague, and then I could go and
Mhm.
edit it, and it would save the whole chain. But let me
Mhm.
really work on that one.
Perfect. Thank you, Tim.
Mm.
And that way it's always there for you as like a strategy bank.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and the advantage in here is that you can actually highlight and then just replace and work it with it like a document instead of a whole chat history.
Mhm.
And again, there's plenty of other stuff to get to, but I thought that one in particular. And similarly, you could save the above one as a rubric in here, but that's a whole other webinar.
Thank you so much, Tim, for that tips. And then I think we are here.
Okay, so we're gonna spotlight another feature. This is one of our favorite features because it is something that other services do not provide. It is the snipping tool. And so just like the snipping tool works on your computer, you are able to take a little tiny picture screenshot of whatever is on your screen and then use it to reference within the chat. So Min's gonna demo how to use that feature. I have inputted some student data on the left in a table. On the right, if you click on that picture, if you are going through the slide deck, it takes you to the chat that I was using it with. But Min is going to show us where we click on the little scissors at the bottom in the left. That is where that feature lies. And then, so once I snip it, it takes that little picture there. You can go through Chrome tabs, Windows, it gives you plenty of options. Once you click share, you go ahead and drag over what you would like it to take a little picture of. And in this case, it's that little table of data. Click the confirm button, and then it will populate the photo into the chat for reference. This saves so much time. So then from there, I want to ask it to just analyze the data. Instead of me spending an hour or two analyzing it and coming up with next steps and grouping kids based on their needs, I'm just going to ask it to do it for me. Once we hit submit, it pops out. And we've tested this a couple of times, as you can see, to make sure that it was all up and running. So it's giving, based on student numbers, who needs to be grouped together based on their needs. So like group A is going to be context clues for higher progress, where group B is going to be additional supports focusing on sentence structure analysis and word meaning strategies. And again, chat with this like a mentor, like a person. So if you want, specifically give me a 15-minute lesson plan around sentence structure analysis for group B, it's going to do that with all the context I've given within the chat.
Oh, excuse me. And then from here, what we like to illustrate with you is a designated tool. What we called will be customized system prompts we built in the back end of Colleague AI to facilitate you to develop learning accommodations or IEP 504 plans. And as you see, there's little, if you hover your sensor over this label, you will see exactly what this tool can do for you. And so with that, let me go illustrate this from the Colleague AI platform. And then if you come here, brainstorm idea again, if you come over to learning accommodation IEP 504 plan, if we click this button, you will see that Claire AI start to resume this role of educational support specialist and start to help you to develop customized accommodation strategies. And I wanted to give a special credit to Tim, who is on the call today, to consult to help us develop this process, and also embedded the best research practice with regard to writing IEP 504, start to prompt you to think about the things that you may or may not thought about. So from here today, I wanted to illustrate to you example that let me just use the slide deck again to illustrate you an example. Let's say your district or your state have a designated required IEP or 504 plan form. Then how do you work with colleague AI to develop content to fill the form? And in today's example, and what you can do is to click prompt with Claire. And you see by now in this video, both me and Haley and Tim, we use this a lot because the URL here, once you highlight this, and then you can copy and then paste to share with your colleagues or build in the slide deck as we're building in. In that way, you can always go back to the history of the chat to retrieve the chat that this URL store this for you. And the other usage of this is, let's say I developed this very interesting prompt, this very interesting strategy. I also offer context to it. I just wanted to share with Haley and Tim so that they don't have to provide this amount of context to colleague AI to do the same task, right? And so that is for team collaboration. So with that, as you can see, this is a little description of a student. Is actually this grabbed from Vanderbilt University's website that illustrates how to write IEP. And this is just a scenario of a student's C, and this is from that teacher's regular notes about this student. And the teacher just to put the note over here and then start to prompt Claire, you are a special ed teacher in Washington State. It's nice to offer the context one more time. And you are asked to write an IEP plan. And you have to follow those requirements from the state about writing the IEP plan. And your task is to write IEP for students C pertaining to this toolbox on the form. And you may wonder, what are the toolbox you are talking about? This is the OSPI, the Washington State website, the state agency which offer guidance of how to provide services to students in special education. And down here, you see the a form, IEP form, any form you can use as well. For today's demo purpose, we'll just click this form. And now we are asking Claire to generate content for this box and this box, and it has to follow all the requirements here. This is it. I already entered all the information from that form, basically copy paste and put it over here. Claire start to generate content based on the teacher's notes about the students. So from there, and just to reiterate Haley's snipping tool demo, right? You may say, I don't want to copy paste from the form over. How do I do? And as you can see, this is just using the snipping tool one more time to just get a screenshot of the form that segment. And let me show you that form one more time, which is this table, right? And you can just using the snipping tool to get a screenshot of that table. And then you just say like, now, based on you already know about the student, based on how you fill out the previous toolbox, now develop content for this box, right? So with that, the interesting here, you see that colleague AI start to prompt you. Would you like me to develop additional goals or focus on other aspects of the this student's reading challenge? So you could just say, yes, please do develop additional goals as you mentioned above. If you wanted to learn more about this type of webinar or other use cases Haley and team generate, please follow our YouTube channel. And you can also directly reach out to us if you want a more systematic demo or you want us to show to your colleagues in your schools and districts, and connect with us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and X.com.